Alright, go say.
Hey, Ms. Clarity. It's me, Rohit, and Himanshu. We're doing the 2009 DBQ for extra credit. And the prompt is, using the documents, analyze African actions and reactions in response to the European scramble for Africa. Identify an additional type of document and explain how it would help in assessing African actions and reactions. And the historical background on that is, in the 3 decades after the Berlin Conference on Africa, European powers occupied and colonized areas in Africa, a process later termed the Scramble for Africa. And Rohit's going to start out.
Okay. Alright, for years after the Berlin Conference, various European powers raced to occupy and colonize land in Africa. It was a time of growth for Europe, but for Africa it was a different story. European powers had a lot of control over Africa during this period of time, and the reactions that the Africans dealt with for the scramble of Africa was varying in different parts. Like, Africans, they went from giving in peacefully to fighting back with all their might. Alright, well, many Africans were afraid of European power. Like, so they would just, basically, they would just give up all their land without a fight. In document 1, it shows that the British government commissioned the Royal Niger Company to administer and develop the Niger River Delta. Many African rulers just signed their land away without even fighting back, I guess. And this document is official, so it provides no personal story to it. So a missing document that would be really useful would be to show how the chief signed it away, because he might have signed it grudgingly or just peacefully as he did. So a missing document showing the personal record for the Niger River Delta dealings would help. Okay.
Yeah, so in document 4, it talks about Nancy Cumolo, something like that, who's an African veteran of the some rebellion, and he tells how, at first, his people surrendered to the British, and they tried to continue living their lives as they always had. That's basically what document 4 shows. And Samuel Mahero, who was a Herero leader, he wrote to another African leader about how the Herero people were trying to be obedient and patient with the Germans, which is what document 7 shows. But many people in Africa just gave in to the changes, and they just assimilated with everything that was occurring around them. But not everywhere the Europeans went, they encountered this obedience and where people would just listen to them. Many places fought back and they rebelled. One example of this would be the Emperor of Ethiopia, Menelik II. He wrote a letter to the Great Britain, France, Germany, and Italy, and Russia in 1891, and basically told them that he would not just sit by and watch them continue ruling them and sending all the slaves to Africa. And that's what document 3 shows. And Cumulo, he basically tells how after trying to live normally, his people could not stand the Europeans anymore, and they wanted to rebel, and they took up arms against the Europeans and just fought back. And that's, once again, what document 4 shows. And, yeah.
Yeah, during the scramble for Africa, a lot of African countries, they were negatively affected due to colonialism, and, the European emigration into Africa, if you could say. The first major European country to defeat a European superpower was Ethiopia, and that's what document 5 shows. It's an Ethiopian painting that depicts the battle, and basically the painter uses point of view, and he's trying to show that the Ethiopians were powerful, they could defeat European powers. They depicted where they defeated the Italians, and I guess the missing document could have been a similar painting, but that's the Italian side of it. The Italians described this battle as hard fought and close, while the Ethiopians described it as quick and prosperous battle. Document 6, it's kind of similar to the African African kings and kingdom nations and stuff. It says the Ashanti Queen Mother, Ya Asantina, spoke to like Ashanti chiefs in the 1900s, and she basically told them that they would not fight the Europeans. They wouldn't take a stance on violence, and they wouldn't fight the Europeans because they knew the Ashanti women would not survive such a battle of high magnitude. And that's basically what document 6 says. And that kind of contradicts because in document 7, Samuel Mahenzo, he sent a letter to another African leader saying that they would not fight the Germans who were actually occupying their country, or they would fight the Germans which were occupying their country. And they said it's better to die fighting for freedom than to die from mistreatment and imprisonment. And that's what document 7 said. Now, also on the other side of this, document 8 is from a German military leader who said the 1905 Maji rebellion, that the chiefs told their people that they had a medicine that would make them invincible, and it's pretty a lot of African like tribes and stuff, they used herbal methods to try to persuade European officials that they were invincible and that they would win. And that's basically what document 8 says. Document 9, it's a document of an African king African chief who's describing a battle on the Congo River, and he said that basically the battle was it seemed nonstop, and it just seemed like a massacre of Africans, and it just wasn't ending. Also, I guess you could say document 9 also shows it shows point of view because the chief was an African who was involved in the battle, and it's basically saying that he saw his own people get killed, and it made the Africans think of the Europeans as like vicious, evil people who are sent from like the devil. And it's interesting because the account of this battle wasn't known until 30 years after it actually happened, and so a lot of people are speculating if it's actually accurate. And I think a missing document that would be helpful for the DBQ would be like a European account of the war, or like the Scramble for Africa, or like any certain battle in particular, because most of the documents given are one-sided and they seem to be from the African point of view. Well, they didn't give very much insight to what the Europeans' point of view was for these battles. And I mean, the Scramble for Africa was like a really difficult time for Africans, and they might have reacted differently if they just like accepted their fate as like colonialized nations and being ruled by imperial nations, rather than retaliating like other nations. However, like Ethiopia actually defeated Italy in this battle, and they gained their independence. So it's kind of interesting to see how some nations who did fight back, they were destroyed, while other nations who did fight back succeeded. And
that's pretty much it.
Have a good summer.
Yeah, have a good summer.
Good night.